Hi everyone, Sarah here from the Paper Cut. First things first, oops, check my phone to make sure it's off, or the volume's off. Okay, so I can see myself. Let me see if I can, oops, I can hear myself too. Alright, so it's Thursday night. Tonight we are doing our Fun Time Thursday with Embossing Folders. Some of you already know to go to YouTube if you're having trouble on Facebook. I did change a setting on one of my camera things that I do, so I did. It's been asking me, it's been screaming at me to update for a while. And I've been afraid to do the update because sometimes when you do updates, then everything goes awry. So I finally did it, and we tested it, and it should all be working. So if you can see and hear us, just let us know. And I did see a couple questions. Kathleen asked, she didn't buy the kit, but I'm watching. She's watching and hopefully participating along. And then we have someone new, Jane from San Antonio. She's watching on YouTube.
And Annette.
And Annette. So my mom she kind of watches both YouTube and Facebook. So she tries to answer. She won't answer, she won't reply to everything, but if you have a question about the class, definitely type it in and she'll either ask me or she'll reply. So anyways, we're going to get started. So I did go on like minutes before coming on here. I was like, oh, I have to do my Crafters Classroom post, which I was supposed to post yesterday. Well, I was supposed to post on Tuesday, and then I said it was going to be late, and I was going to post yesterday, and I didn't. And so then I was going to post today, and then totally forgot. And then at 5:58, I was like, we need to do that really quick. So we were on Crafters Classroom. So just in case you're a little confused, you did see me there, and now you're seeing me here. So Crafters Classroom, August. Triple tier slider. This is a set from Impression Obsession, and it's called Hello Sunshine. So that's the name of my kit. Triple tier slider, and then we're also doing a regular slider card. So where it pops up like that. And then we'll do a layered card. So it'll be 3 cards in that one. And you can always remember that if you purchase 1 or 2 kits, you can click on the drop down for shipping and then select first class mail rather than priority mail because it's a little bit cheaper. The other thing is my August Fun Time Thursday, we did just receive, we did just receive that heavier weight acetate earlier in the year. I showed an acetate card, kind of like a floating acetate card with strips, and it just was a little bit too lightweight. So I finally have the 10 mil acetate. So in August, my Fun Time Thursday is going to be floating acetate cards, and I'm hoping to get that posted tomorrow. So if you want to wait to order both Crafters Classroom and my next month Fun Time Thursday, just give it a day or two. I'm trying to get them posted tomorrow, along with I'm going to do an email about some new products that just posted on our website, including that 10 mil acetate, or it's called Clear Cover. So let's get down to business. We're going to go down to the table.
You're there.
Okay, so we have our Fun Time Thursday kit and our cards. So we have, these are our embossing folder cards. Now, even if you don't have all of these embossing folders, you can use whatever embossing folders you have, because that's the whole point of the class is embossing, but you don't have to have these exact folders. You just pull out a whole variety of embossing folders, and I'm going to go through what's in the kit, and then we're going to just talk about embossing first. So in the kit, you have the cards. Nothing's embossed because you can use your own embossing folders, but in this package, in the extras pack, so in the extras pack, there's extras for you to play with tonight. Now I gave you half sheets, the 5.5 by 8.5 with the exception of this one, because then you could always cut them into a layer for a slimline card, because a lot of the Spellbinders embossing folders are this big 5.5 by 8.5 size, or you can emboss the whole thing at one time, and then you can trim it down into 2 postcards. So that's why I gave you mostly half sheets in there, because then you could use it a number of different ways. So, and everything that's in that extras kit is just for playing. So if you're not sure what an embossing folder looks like, or you want to try some inking on it, but let's just talk about, I did blues, and that was specifically because for this butterfly card, if you're like, hey, I don't like purple, or I don't have an embossing folder that goes with that, then I gave you blues as an alternate option. And that's why I gave you the light and the dark.
You are upside down on the table. What in the heck?
Am I upside? Well, it might have been my, so am I upside down?
Yeah.
Okay, so hang on, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna try, this is what I said when I did my updates, it switched some of my settings. So,
Or, yeah, that, yeah.
well, or I do this
Yes.
for the whole night tonight, and then I do it upside down tonight. I'll do it upside down.
Okay.
Because I used to do it upside down all the time until I figured it out. So yeah, we're just gonna deal with that tonight. Anyways, let's get back to, oh geez, if it isn't one thing, it's another. But that's why I was like putting off doing that update, because I just didn't want it to mess up any settings. So in this package, you have, you know, a couple blues, but the blue looks really silver. I'm going to emboss that one later. You have metallics, and then I gave you the different variety of, and some people may have silver or white for this. So this is the lava. That looks really pretty embossed. This is just the embossed metallic. So this is wave. The mirror card is super pretty embossed. And then the Bianco Pearl I gave you. So you have lots of extras in there. And the white is just to kind of play with. And if you have some scrap white, you might want to pull that out. These 2 heavier pieces. So these 2 heavier pieces, I specifically gave these to you as shims. Because with the thicker 3D embossing folders, you might not be able to do your normal sandwich. Now, the machines I have the crossover 2, which allows me to dial up the embossing, the platform, but I have my Big Shot sitting right here. Right here's my Big Shot, because I'm assuming a lot of you have Big Shots, so I'm going to go through and show you the different sandwiches that I used. But these 2 pieces are specifically to use for shims. They're like our chipboard, but they're white, and I don't have these.
Upside down. You're upside down now. On Facebook, you're upside down.
But on YouTube, am I not upside down?
You see what's going on YouTube.
Okay, on Facebook, I can see that I'm upside down.
On YouTube.
I gotta put something on here so I can actually see.
On YouTube, it's not coming up yet on YouTube that I can see. So, oh well.
So yes, I'm upside down.
You're upside down on both of them.
Yeah, but okay. But I don't think it really matters.
No.
As long as I do it upside down here.
No, okay.
You know what I mean? I'll just turn everything and I'll do it upside down, so then it should be right side up. Because right now, this is right side up to
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
Okay. I will work upside down.
All right.
Okay.
Wait, how to mess up my head.
So, anyway, so you can use these, or you can say, hey, I want to use them later. Okay, that's totally up to you. Whether you have a whole bunch of different embossing folders and you want to try them, or you just want to do the cards we're doing tonight and then do these later. It's up to you. Anyways, these 2 heavier ones are your shims. So I'm going to just pull out my machine. And have it right here. So normally for embossing, you know, if you just have a regular embossing folder, I'm just going to pull out a regular embossing folder. And I'm going to cut a panel.
Are there any kits left, Sarah?
There are kits left, yes.
And
Not all of the embossing folders that I used are left.
Okay, so they should just go right to the
Right to the
website.
class page, yep. So you might have to play with, you know, what works and what doesn't work. So if you, like, if you're putting, I'm just on our, right now I'm just on my top platform, and I did just put my embossing folder, and this is just a regular one, and this I'm just kind of playing and showing, so we're not doing any cards yet. And then I just have my top plate, which I don't know technically the name for all the plates. It does feel a little loose going through here, so this is where if you wanted to add a shim, you could add a shim if it feels too loose. And then it gets a little bit tighter. But if it gets too tight, don't do it. So if it's ever too tight where you're having a hard time actually, you know, pushing that through, don't force it. And if you're using an electric machine, definitely don't force it. If you're using this heavier shim and it seems too heavy, you can always go down to a piece of regular cardstock. So that you can use as a shim, or even a piece of text weight paper as a shim. You want it to be a little bit tight so you get a good impression, but you don't want it to be too tight that you have to work your muscles in order to do it. So this was just a regular old embossing folder. And not an old one, just an embossing folder. But if we take a 3D embossing folder, then we do have to play with our little tabs. Now mine, I don't even know how they come anymore. This one is ancient. And if I remember correctly, I believe I used a shim and a top plate. So I am just on the very bottom. My two tabs are up. And I ran it through, and it's a little bit, you know, you can feel that it's not tight enough. So I'm going to put another shim there. And I'm going to run through. Now this still feels a little bit not tight enough, and you do have to play a little bit with the 3D embossing folders, because not all 3D embossing folders are created the same. So if you want to put, you know, make yourself a little chart with, you know, your different shims, and whether you're using a Spellbinders embossing folder or whether you're using an Alta Nu.
Oops, that's not right.
So this one was, I had one tab down and I had two shims, my embossing folder and my paper, and then my plate. So it's just finding what works. Now let's go to an Alta Nu one and try that. But that's specifically why I gave you these couple heavier dutier shims. So we're going to go to a 3D and 3D. I'm going to try one that I've never tried before. I'm going to try this, I think it's called window slats. So let's try that one. I don't have all my paper pre-cut, so I am turning around cutting it every once in a while. And like I did these earlier today, and of course I should have written them down, because now I'm just on my top panel and my top plate, and that's perfect pressure actually. So the Alta Nu was just on my base plate, my embossing folder, and my top plate. But again, don't force it, but that was a really good amount of pressure on that one. So this is the window slats one on just regular cardstock. So let's go to just some metallic papers, and you can play along with me. So these are some embossing folders that I've never used before, and I just want to kind of play with them. So I'm playing, if you want to play with me. I am doing this cherry blossom one on a piece of metallic paper, and this is an Alta Nu. So remember, we're doing on the top of our base plate, our embossing folder, our paper, and our top plate. Now, if your paper is cracking, one thing that I've heard, but I really haven't had too much trouble with it, is you can spritz your paper with a little bit of water. So this is the cherry blossom on the So Silk Vanity Pearl. So look at how pretty that is. Anyways, let's go on to our cards. And I am going to start with one that's actually not embossing to begin with, just so we can let it dry. I'm going to put my machine on the floor. And we're going to start out with the thank you one, just because I want to do the watercoloring first. And then we're going to set that panel aside to dry. So in this one that says thank you, you have your little swatches with your watercolor. You have your word thank you. You have another strip. You have your envelope, your scored card, and then you have your watercolor paper. Now I made it a little wider because you're going to cut it down, just in case. So you either A, have somewhere to hold on to, or we're going to cut it down to size after. This one is just a white on white layer. So we're going to start with watercoloring, and I don't know if I can do this upside down just because I don't know that I can reach like that. And it doesn't really matter. So we're going to start with our little watercolor swatches. And I did have my water brush here earlier. Did I set my water brush over there, Mom? No?
No, I'm not seeing it.
Okay. That's okay. I have another one here. I just don't know how much water is in it.
Okay.
So I'm going to go sideways. There. Now I don't have to worry about being upside down or right side up. I'm going to go sideways. But I did this card and I tried embossing it and then watercoloring it. And I didn't like it as much as watercoloring and then embossing. I was looking for my little sample of the one that I made, and I usually keep all my little demo stuff because then I can put it in, we put it in grab bags and stuff, and you guys can use my scrap panels, that maybe didn't make the cut. So we are just going to watercolor first. When I watercolored after, I caught the edges, and I just didn't like the look. I thought it was much smoother watercoloring first and then embossing. So that's why I did it. But you're always welcome to try it a different way too. Anyways, okay, let's go on. So for watercoloring, squeeze your water brush. The lighter one is the yellow, the darker one is the orange. I think I'm just going to, I'm going to start with my dark orange, and then we're going to drag the color up. So, or across. And I am doing it so I don't have a top and a bottom, I'm going from the side. So the longer edge is your top or your bottom. So you're going to gradiate your colors this way. So we'll start with our orange.
Your other brush is next to the stack of cards you just
it
looked
is.
through.
It's right here.
Thanks, Teresa.
Okay, well, if I run out.
Okay.
So
fun. That's why it's such a fun time Thursday.
So we're going to pick up our oranges, gradiate your color up. I think I'm going to meet my colors in the middle. But start with your darker orange at the bottom. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
No, what's the bottom, Sarah? We're working upside down.
No,
right?
that's why I went side to side.
Yeah, I know.
So then I don't have to worry about top or bottom. Because if I was doing it the other way, I'd have to do it this way. I just don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
So I am going to turn it around. I'm going to start with my yellow. This is on the hammered stock. So we talked about this one being good for watercoloring. Now you can start right here or you can start up here because the colors push around pretty good. But we want it the lightest on one of the edges. So we can always add more color and drag this color up to the top. So it is very light, like a very pale yellow. So I have that very pale. If you ever get too much color, you can always take a paper towel and dab it off, and you'll just pull some of your color. Now I really like mine, so I don't really want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyways just to show you. So I can pull color off of there, and it'll lighten it up just a little bit.
Look at how accommodating you are. You don't want to do it, but you did it anyway.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it, but so I kind of liked that. Anyways, okay. So we just want our gradiated color, and I have it really light on one edge. Oh, yeah, Sarah. And I want it darker at the other edge. And remember, you can trim a little bit off of this anyways, because remember I told you it was a little bit wider. And if you squeeze more water on, then you'll just spread the color out more. So I might cut this top edge off because I've got a little bit of orange up there that I don't really want. So we're just going to set that aside. Now you probably still have a little bit more color on here. And I'm going to put my pen, my water brush, where it belongs, so I know where it is next time.
Well, I'm just glad your tape guns are here because I borrowed them today.
While we're waiting for that to dry a little, we are going to pop out. Now this was part of the homework if you did it. I didn't do my homework. So we're going to pop that out. This is our thank you. And now this was back in the very beginning days of doing virtual, where I did it upside down all the time. Now these cards are much easier for me to do upside down because they're not mechanical. So I am going to get this fixed before next week. We didn't test that like we tested today. I said, okay, Mom, when do you have to leave? Because she was here earlier and then she had, to leave for something or to leave to go home and do stuff or whatever. So I said, quick, we need to go in there and test just to make sure everything's working. And usually volume is the biggest problem we have. So we made sure that. We made sure one of the cameras wasn't working. So, and it's the overhead camera that wasn't working.
Oh dear.
That's the problem. So I had to totally reset it up, and yes, we did not test the whole flipping thing. So you can
it gives no meaning to a flipping thing, right?
Right. So you can use either glue or your microdot adhesive. Let's cut our words right away while we're waiting for it to dry. Now this one would be pretty with any floral embossing folder. I did use the Daisy something from Alta New, and I am out of that one.
Daisy Bed, is it?
Daisy Bed, yes. You are correct.
Well, I looked at my cheat sheet.
You looked at your cheat sheet. So you can use any embossing folder though. Because I know a lot of you probably have a ton of embossing folders, so you didn't need to buy embossing folders. And none of them are super specific. I mean, the butterfly one has the butterfly on it, so that's kind of nice, but you can really use anything you want. So we have that. Now this. Now it's a little bit wet, and that's okay, especially because, like I mentioned earlier, if you ever have trouble with stuff cracking, you can always spritz it a little bit, and that kind of just softens those fibers up, and then it won't crack when you emboss.
Did I take your spritzing thing away?
No, I put it back.
Okay.
So now I'm using an Alta New one, so depending on which one you have, again, you can use any. Now I did put, because a few people asked, can I get, after I showed the Puffy Dots embossing folder last week, a few people did ask, can I get just the Puffy Dots? I already have the class kit. So I did put the embossing folders on the accessory page. Now, when you're embossing, you just need to make sure that you're popping up the correct side. When you have a regular embossing folder, so like the one I used earlier, the scallopy one that I had out here, you can tell which side is your flat side and which side is your popped up side. So this side is, has the little scallops popping up. So I know my paper has to be down and it's going to push up that way. So on this daisy bed, we need to figure that out. And sometimes on like all my older embossing folders, usually the writing on the front of it is the way you emboss it. But you can do it both ways. It doesn't really matter. But technically, I just don't know with the new embossing folders, whether that's the rule of thumb, is that the words up is the side that should be facing up when you're embossing. Here's one that I did where I did it well, this one you could go either way. So you could have the rays standing up, or you could have the little dots standing up. So really, some embossing folders can go either way. With your daisy bed, if you're not sure, now, yeah, I can feel the little bumpilies of the middle of the sunflower. That's what we want to push up. So on this one, it is correct. Your words need to be facing up, and then the side that we watercolored needs to be facing up. So now you just need to decide, if you want your orange at the top or the bottom, because your daisies will be going, up into the air, or they'll be going facing downward. So I'm going to have my daisies facing up, so I'm putting my dark orange, towards the words. Let me do mine first in case I'm telling you wrong. Let me be the tester.
Facebook was flashing gray. Mona, was that on the virtual class page? Or was that on the regular, Sarah's regular?
Whew. Yes, that worked beautifully. So I have my orange at the bottom, radiated up towards the top. So when I did put my paper in, my orange was closer to the fold of the embossing folder, and the words are up. The Alta New Daisy Bed words are facing up, and your colored part is up. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a virtual class page. Thanks, Mona.
Yeah, the virtual class page, I think it's the group pages, I really do, that have the most problems. Okay, so now we have that piece pre-embossed. We have our scored card. Now, did I put the size that this gets cut down to? Hang on a second. I don't have the instructions in front of me, so I'm just going to measure this one. So this is 5 3/8. So you're going to cut your daisy bed. Let me cut mine first. I believe it's 4 by 5 1/4. 4 by 5 1/4. And if you want to skip the white on white layer and just layer it right onto the front of the card, you are welcome to do that. So you are cutting this 4 by 5 1/4. And every once in a while I'm going to have to remind myself that I'm working upside down. So I apologize for that. But so we're just going to attach our one layer on.
It's in the instructions, Sarah.
And then our second layer. Okay. Okay, so we're
Thanks for the reminder, Emily.
I don't have my instructions with me. Now, if your paper is still wet, you might want to zap it with a heat gun to dry it. Just because the tape doesn't always stick the best. I am white on white here. I'm white on white on white. So
Ooh.
I'm my white placemat on my white card and my white layer, and then my daisies are going to go. Aren't they beautiful?
They
Oh
are
my gosh.
gorgeous.
So when I embossed first and watercolor, which you can certainly do, but I got like darker edges where the embossing folder came up, and maybe you wanted that and you want that look. In this particular card, I wanted it pretty smooth, so I didn't have it. So this one I preferred to watercolor it first and then emboss. Okay, oops, upside down. Upside down.
Oops, oops, oops.
And then this word we're just going to snip off the ends of our thank you.
I'm so grateful for YouTube, Sarah. I'm glad you have a YouTube channel.
Because is Facebook giving trouble tonight?
Well, apparently Mona's the only one that stated any issues.
Yeah, but Facebook or YouTube tends to display better without as many technical issues. So now you can either place that solid flat, or you can use foam tape and pop it up. Totally up to you.
I forgot to write down numbers at 6 o'clock. Okay, I'll write them down now.
I am going to pop up with foam tape. So, but sometimes if you're mailing it, you don't want to pop it up with foam tape because they charge extra if it's too thick. I did have, my fingernails. This one fell off and this one fell off, and they're getting like too long, so I'm going to have to like take the rest of them off. But it kind of does a number on your nails. So next week, just to cover up them not looking very pretty, I might put polish on again, but just regular polish. So we'll see if I'm daring and go with a different color.
Do you know my nails are still brittle?
Are they from when you put nails on?
Mm-hmm. In March, and I took them off by mid-April or late April, but...
So it's up to you if you want, how much of the orange you want to see, wherever you want to put your thank you. Yeah, getting your nails done does a number on them.
Yep.
Leah, my daughter, gets them done like every few weeks. Like that's just one of her things that she likes to do.
Of course, she's
she's
only
girl.
33. Of course she does.
Yeah. So anyways, we have our thank you card. Let's set that aside. I don't even know what my original looked like. Oh, here it is. Okay, my original to my class. Okay, pretty good. Let's go on to our butterfly. Now, that embossing folder I have right here. And like I said, you could use, any embossing folder that you want. You just probably need a longer one. Because it's a slimline card. If you don't have any of the 5.5 by 8.5 embossing folders, what you could do, and let me just do this, and I'll just do it with a different piece of paper. But if you don't have a larger embossing folder, and let me find my other embossing folder that I was using earlier. You could take it won't work with the scales. It can't be one that goes up and down, but you could just do half of it, and then you could do the other half. Now with this pattern though, it's going to, one side is going to be right side, one side is going to be facing one way, one side is going to be facing the other way, and then you'll use your word in the middle. So it'll divide more, more towards the middle as opposed to towards the bottom. But that's your fix if you don't have any of the 5.5 by 8.5 embossing folders to accommodate that. Or you could just do the top part, and then you use your dividing point right here to cover up the border of that, and then maybe you put your butterfly down at the bottom. So, or up at the top. So, up to you, but that would be your fix, either doing part at a time and then the other part at a time, to do a slimline card with your A2 embossing folders. So the butterfly. Now I did try the butterfly. This one is not as deep as some of the other 3D embossing folders. So hang on, I'm going to grab something out of the garbage.
Ah, you did it. I almost rescued that out of the garbage earlier.
Because I did, when I was starting designing the butterfly card, I ran this whole half sheet, and I wanted to take an ink pad and rub over the top of it, which we'll do, or I'm going to do. But it doesn't emboss as deep as some of the other folders, so I was getting more white in there that I didn't want. So that's why I ended up doing it, but then just coloring a few of them. So let's emboss our butterflies, or whatever embossing folder you have. Pulling my machine up again. And I'm going to open
Could you
my
shim
kit.
that so it would emboss deeper, or?
No, I think that it's just not, the folder's not built like that.
All right.
Because you don't want to shim too much and have it be too hard.
Yeah.
And I did give you different words in here. So the words, you can pick whichever words you want out of there.
Hello from the sailboat. Oh, who's on the sailboat? I have to go and look and
On a
see.
sailboat. Somebody's on a
Yeah.
sailboat.
Who's
That's
on
very
the
fun.
sailboat? Oh, Diane DeBeer.
Oh, nice. Okay, so if I remember from when we were doing it earlier, I'm on my big shot, so my main base is here. I've got my little tab, and then I did use shims. So I'm going to do my shims, and then I'm putting my paper in. Now, I believe here too, the words are facing up, and that's going to emboss it the correct way. Now with these embossing folders, don't push it all the way up to the very top edge, because you'll have no embossing at that top eighth. So kind of make sure to line it up at the top of where the embossing ends. Put it in there fairly straight. Place it down. I'm going to use my, I'm going to run it through. Yeah, you don't want to shim stuff too much that it is too hard to run through. And I'm going to do another one, and I'll just show you the difference. So there's all different levels on here, and it's easy enough to hit these flowers, but it embosses the butterfly up at different depths. So that's why it was hard to do the whole ink pad across. I didn't like it as much as I liked just doing a little bit. But I'm going to pull out puffy dots again, because then you can see this. And I'm going to get, I think I'm looking for a darker piece of paper. Okay, so here we go. I have a piece of purple paper. Just because I want to show you the rubbing over the top of it. And so this is just playing, if you want to play. This isn't part of the card. Okay, now I'm going to put my machine down on the floor again to get it out of the way. And we'll go on to the card and just some more playing. So, with my butterflies, I did take a white ink pad, although I did use a different white ink pad, and a little spongy let's see. I have these little sponges that are like big Q-tips. And this one I just re-inked earlier, and it didn't even go all the way into the ink pad. So hang on, my other white ink pad is in my other room. So anyways, I did just take some white ink from my ink pad, and I gently colored just the tops of whichever flowers I wanted, which I did do all of the flowers that were kind of the same little shape. And I said that you could probably use like an acrylic. If you didn't have a white ink pad, you could probably use like a acrylic paint, and it would work the same way. These little sponge things I love. I can't remember who told me about them, but they're these Jane Davenport baton blenders. I love them.
You can also try makeup blenders.
I know, but at the time I couldn't find them.
Oh.
So I don't know if they were all out of them at Walgreens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was a couple years ago that I got those.
Yeah, probably during COVID, right? You couldn't get them.
I could not find them. But these little blenders.
We could have gone back to my Quilticard stuff, because there are probably a bunch of them back there.
And as the ink dries, sometimes it lightens up. So if you want it more dark, just add another little layer of ink on there. So Pat got her order really fast.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Pat.
Sherry Watkins told me she got her order really fast too. Sherry Watkins had asked me about the clear. She was looking for the thicker clear acetate, and so I'm like, it just came in. I'll get it online. So I did, like, super quick for her. But that's what my email is going to be about tomorrow. I know I've been doing just monthly emails, but I'm going to start emailing maybe a little bit more. Not like Kohl's or Home Depot that does it every day of the week. But like when I add new products to the website, I'll probably do an email and group them together. So that's what it's going to be tomorrow, is just some new products. Not necessarily new things, but like we have some envelope varieties that never made it online. We have the 65-pound vellum, I never made it online. So just new stuff that I've added online. And some of it's new, like that clear cover is on there. So anyways, this one's dark, and this is the puffy dots. This one has popped up a little bit more than, like, say, the butterflies on here. So this one you can drag across. You can drag an ink pad across, and this is a silver ink pad, because I thought my white ink pad, because I just re-inked it. And I can stay pretty close to on the top unless I push too hard. So this is not part of a card that we're doing. It's just showing you something that you can do. So, yeah. Anyways, you can just gently drag, and I like to keep my ink pad fairly flat as opposed to going at an angle. So, but yeah, you can gently drag your ink pad across just to add ink that way. And that's what I was going to do with the butterflies. Didn't kind of like it. So like pieces that are like this, I'll either make them into a card, or I'll throw them in my pile of things that I was playing with, and then somebody will end up with that piece in their grab bag.
That paper looked black.
Did it?
It was purple.
It's purple. Yeah,
Yeah, it's purple.
It's purple.
But it looked black on my screen. I don't know how it looked on everybody else's.
So-
Maybe I should do it on the big TV like Polly's watching tonight.
Yeah.
She's not chatting because she's on the big TV.
Big TV. So let's go on to finishing our card. We have, this is our heavyweight. So this is only the 48-pound vellum. And then, why did I give, I know why I gave you that piece. This piece is to back whatever words you choose. And we have our butterfly as our backer, and I did not weed out my butterfly.
Speaking about butterflies, I have that new baby at home.
My mom has butterfly enclosure that she gets these tiny little
Eggs and
eggs, and they turn into the little caterpillars, and
they grow into big
they
caterpillars.
grow into big caterpillars, and then the butterflies. I'm sure we'll see your butterflies when they are hatching.
Yeah.
She should post them.
I should post them, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I will. I usually do.
She posts them on her page.
Yeah. So that tiny little first instar monarch is about maybe a 1/16 of an inch.
Which is really tiny.
Really?
It's smaller than probably one of the smallest things in this little butterfly die cut. So yeah, weed it out. While I'm doing this, you all can decide which words you're using, and you can cut them, and you can cut your piece of crystal diamond print to go behind it. I did have just a slight border of crystal diamond print. So my crystal diamond print is the width of our lighter purple one. And this purple is one of the new Lesabo stocks. It's purple amethyst. Now we have a amethyst metallic, so you just have to be careful if you don't want if you want the Lesabo versus the Star Dream, because the Star Dream will be much more expensive. Oh, that's the other thing I put online. I put online the Lesabo variety, so you can get 2 each of all 40 colors in a variety pack.
That is a really nice offer.
Yeah, there's just some really nice colors. Okay, so I'm going to just attach this piece, and yeah, I'm taping upside down, but at least my words and everything are right side up.
That is a beautiful butterfly die. Yeah, it is, Kathleen. Oh
That
my gosh.
butterfly die is actually from Impression Obsession, and it is a super old butterfly.
Oh.
But it's like, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Now, did I not cut these the right size? I might need to take a trim off, because I think I cut this panel. It's supposed to be, what did you do, Sarah? Okay, it's 3 1/4. It's supposed to be 8 1/4, and I think I cut it to 8 1/2.
Sarah, which butterfly die is it? Let me see that again. Can I see it?
Oh,
here?
you can see it on the instruction sheet.
Yeah. Oh, I see it. I got it.
Okay, so
It's still available while supplies last.
well, it might be on sale, because she just had a whole bunch that were on sale.
This
Impression
is
Obsession
11.
did?
It's yes, while supply lasts, $6.60.
Yeah. She had a big, Impression Obsession had a big sale on dyes, because she had overstock dyes. So I don't think it's totally going away,
I'll post a link.
but it's just on sale.
All right.
So yes, I apologize for that. I had to cut down my purple because I cut it the wrong size. And that means I cut my lavender the wrong size too.
Well, you've got that link on your instructions, but I'll
Yep.
post it anyway.
So your butterfly, you can cut down to 3 by 8. Yeah, 3 by 8 for your light amethyst piece. And I'm using a trimmer without. Just be careful if you still have white ink on it, that you be careful not to smooch it. I'm getting it on my fingers. So I'm going to turn it over and put my tape on it right now. And if you don't want such a big border, you could do a little bit bigger than 3 by 8. know what I just did?
What did you do? I'm not watching, I'm posting.
I almost put, because I'm doing it upside down.
Oh, yeah.
I'm used to doing it on the right side, and now I need to do it on the left side.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Oh,
I
my
would,
gosh.
it would be on the wrong side of my card.
I get that.
So, and then I'm going to decide which words I want. I'm going to use hello, my friend. If you're using the You're So Sweet, it might have to be a little bit different orientation. And I do have a little smooch right there because my ink was still a little bit wet. So that's where I'm going to put my words. So I'm behind here cutting my hello, my friend.
That butterfly card could be a really nice card if you wanted to send a sympathy card.
Oh, yes, that would be a good sympathy card.
Or a birthday card, or just an I love you card.
So now I'm just going to cut. So yeah, depending on which word you used, I'm going to cut my this to 3 inches so it goes all the way across. So I'm cutting my glitter paper to 3 inches also. And I'm going to cut a strip fit behind my words. So I cut a 3-inch strip, fit right there, and it looks like I cut it crooked. And I did, so now Sarah's going to cut another one and try to not cut crooked.
Hey crafters, this not so crafty lady even refilled the ATG gun today.
And she did a great job.
But I used one that was full to look at.
Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes you need a little help.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I don't like this working upside down. I am going to fix that camera the minute we...
The minute we finish tonight?
Well, no, probably not, because it's going to be a little bit later than
Yeah.
normal. But I don't like the upside down thing. I don't know how I did that for like almost a whole year.
Well,
But I did.
I know. You amaze me.
And doing it with mechanical cards is even worse,
Yeah.
because then you really have to think about orientation. So yes, you can put your words and your butterfly wherever you want. I did use glue, I think, to attach my butterfly. So originally I had this cut the entire length across, but then I cut it a little bit shorter, just because. So, and then I just did use a little bit of glue. I kind of bent that up, but if you're mailing it, it's not going to matter anyways. Now I did just kind of put this over another butterfly. So even though it's a different butterfly, I just kind of used it, you know, over the top of a butterfly. So it's up to you wherever you want to put it. That was my thinking when I did it. I was trying to look in my butterfly stash to see if I had one that was that exact shape, but I didn't. So you really can't tell that it's behind there, just kind of blend, you know, you can't tell that that's a butterfly behind there and it doesn't match.
That butterfly die comes with another die cut, Sarah. That
It comes with the solid,
yeah,
which is what we use. This, it comes with 2 dies.
yes.
So it comes with this solid butterfly die,
Mhm.
and it comes with the die cut.
Okay.
So it's a 2 die set.
For $6.60, folks. Oh my gosh. Hey, it's perfect summer day here today. 73 degrees right now, Sarah.
Oh, that's nice.
Didn't get into the 80s today, but it was perfect summer day. And then next week and the week after is going to be 80s and into the higher 80s later. So
Okay. So I used crystal lacquer to attach these. And because I don't want my finger to stick to it, that's why I'm just using the tip of my scissors to just give it a little push. Crystal lacquer dries pretty darn quick. So I like using it for, if I'm using a wet glue, I like to use my crystal lacquer. So there we have our butterfly one. I'm going to set that aside. Let's go on to our alcohol ink one. So, and this one, you can use any colors of alcohol ink you want. I'm using like blues and purples, but this is not color specific because there's not a card color. Whoop, they're rolling. So anyways, those are the colors that I'm using. This is with the diamond. This is with our Bianco Pearl. I have to, hang on a second, I might get a baby wipe just to get my hands clean because I think I still have a little bit of white ink on them. And I did this one as two different versions because I couldn't decide. So I did this version and I also did this version. Now, the two, besides cutting my panels, which are cut right here, this one is embossed, this one's debossed. So this one's the opposite way. This one's embossed up, this one's embossed down. You can do it whichever way you want it. And if you have any other type of embossing folder, so let me, I don't even know where my beveled diamonds is. Oh, it's actually right here. But I might use a different one because I've used bevel diamonds before. So let's pull out, I'm going to pull out, I think this one's called Circle Illusion. So I'm just going to try it with that. But yes, so if you put it in where your words, where you can read your words, it's going to emboss up, which is this one. And here's my bevel diamonds. So you can actually feel in here that this middle diamond is poking up. So you want your pretty paper, you know, up, and you want to be able to read your words. If you want it to deboss like I did on this one, then you can flip it over. And you know, you can feel that it's going to poke down. So just, you can do it different ways. It doesn't always have to be done, you know, with the words up. And I'm going to do my Circle Illusion one instead.
So even if you did it with the words up,
see,
you
can
could
read
flip
the
the paper over once you emboss
Yeah,
it.
you could do it with the words up and then just flip your paper.
Yes.
Depending on if you have, like we're using Bianco Pearl,
Yes.
which is only coated on one side.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Okay. So if you want to just leave your pretty Bianco Pearl facing up, you can flip your embossing folder. If you're using a non-coated paper, then it doesn't matter. You could just flip your paper
Yes, okay.
one way or the other. But
Thank
when
you.
you're using a paper that is only pretty on one side,
Yeah, it's only
then you
finished
kind of
on
have to
one side.
pay attention to which way you're doing it.
Yep.
So you also need to decide on this one whether you want to, what am I saying? Whether you want to do it this way or whether you want to do it this way.
Whether you want to do
So-
it landscape or vertical.
Yeah, well, this one I actually alcoholed. I did emboss it first, but after I embossed it, this one I alcoholed inked just the top section. And then I used my divider right here to cover up where it's alcohol inked and where it's not. This one, after I cut it, or after I embossed it, I cut it into strips and then I alcoholed inked each one separately. And then I also did my wishes. So before we even start, we are going to pop out our wishes. And I gave you two of them. One of them just so you can have double thickness. So the metallic one is the one that you're going to alcohol ink. and this one just goes behind it. And if you don't want to double them up, then you just have another word wishes for a different card. Up to you, because it's your card. But before we get our fingers inky, let's just do this. Let's get these out. And you guys might have already done that for homework. I didn't.
Well, you were doing a bunch of other stuff.
I was doing a few other things.
Smokies. Busy lady.
Like shipping orders.
Yeah.
Entering orders. Designing cards.
Commiserating with your mother when she was getting frustrated with dies.
With the circles.
With the circles. Oh my God. Still working on those.
No, mine doesn't feel like it's... If you ever run into where it's not cut all the way through, then just let me know, because I can send you another one. Sometimes you can still get them out if it's just stuck in one little spot, which I think this one is stuck in one little spot. Becky does a really good job trying to make sure that they're all, but sometimes one gets by her. Oh, and it just felt like it wasn't going to pop out, and then it just went dink, and it popped out.
Yeah.
So we are going to alcohol ink over the top of the words, too, if you want to. So that's why I wanted to get those out before. Turn them around. Okay, so let's do our embossing first, and I'm going to do the circle illusion just because I already have 2 cards with the beveled diamonds. So I'll bring up my embossing machine. And if you guys want to use any of your extra papers and, emboss, you can. Now, this is one of the Spellbinders ones. It's a little bit thicker. So we're going to set up our machine where our tabs are going to be on. I'm going to be on tab 1. Then I'm going to have my 2 shims. And I'm going to have my pretty paper facing up where you can read Spellbinders. So it's going to emboss it up. And if that's why you have extras, so you can try different stuff. Or if you have a whole bunch of embossing folders there. And sometimes it's nice to just, while you have your embossing folders out, to emboss a whole bunch of panels, because then it's ready to go when you need to make a quick and easy card. And you can go back and forth. If you go back and forth, like you can go through just one time, if you go back and forth, just make sure it doesn't pull all the way out of the machine and then move around at all, because you don't want it to bounce. You'll get a double image. Our shims came in really handy. I'm glad I included those. When Becky was putting together more kits, she's like, "Why do you have these in there?" There is a method to my madness. Whew, that one's really pretty. I think that one's called Circle Illusion. But it is on our accessory page. This is one that is popped up pretty high that would work really good for dragging your ink pads across. And now I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. I'm going to do alcohol inks over it. So I am going to go and just do the top. If you are going to do the strips like this, then you can cut them down. Now you're going to have to trim off, if you cut it down, they're not going to fit on there very good. And yeah, so if you cut it and you're into strips, you're going to have to cut a little bit off just to make room so you have the little bit of gap in there. Or you can squish all your strips together too. But I am going to do just where I drag it across that top edge. but I am still going to try and get some stripes on there. I'm going to do my inks like in a row. Like I'm going to do my stream, my aqua, and my purple. And then instead of blending it all together, which is what I have going on here, I'm going to try and do it just in like more stripes. So up to you. Your cards. And yeah, if you want to emboss a few things while you have it all out, go for it. Now, you can drag it if you go up and down. We did this on a Thursday night where I demoed this. You will start to get the little bubbly things, but with the effect of the embossing folder, I think you kind of lose that when you get the bubbly. So I do kind of like just dragging it with it when I have the embossing folder. If it's totally flat, then up and down and you'll start to get the texture that way. But here we have plenty of texture going on. So here we go. Now, to get in all those nooks and crannies, I had to go over it a couple times. So, that's pretty.
Which of your different types of papers do you recommend for alcohol inking, Sarah? And any that you wouldn't use alcohol ink on?
Alcohol inking. You can do it on the Yupo is a given. The holographics, if I do holographics, I do mostly just a swooshing. Mirror card, you can do swooshing or tapping. Glossy, you can do white glossy, which I do have a piece of white glossy here. White glossy you can do with alcohol inks, except like you can do, this is just white glossy. You know, you can do the alcohol inks on the white glossy, but you won't get like the little bubbly effect that you do on Yupo. And you can do your swooshing too. So this is just regular white glossy. The pearl I really like because you get that shiny pearly effect. So I'm not liking that I missed a little bit up there.
Good questions.
So I am going to tap a little bit right here just to try and fill in where it missed. So, I may as well do it now. Hang on. I said not to tap, but when I was trying to fill in my thing, okay, I'm just going to do it. On the Yupo, you'll get these little bubbly effects, and you do get that on that Bianco pearl too. And actually, I don't mind this. I said you kind of sometimes lose the pattern of the embossing, but I kind of don't mind that.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, I do like it. So, hey, try different stuff. That's why I gave you extra paper to play with. Huh. Yeah, so there I did swooshing and I did tapping.
Well, who would know?
Who would know? As it's a little bit drier, your little bubblies will start to stay. As it's wetter, the bubblies will bleed out. Maybe for our fun time Thursday, we should do alcohol inks one of these times. Or maybe in our crafters classroom, we should do alcohol inks. Huh, I kind of do like that, huh? But anyways, this is the regular glossy. See how it's just more of a flat effect? You can't get that little bubbly effect on there because the inks soak right in, and it did dull a little bit. I do like the Bianco pearl just because of the shine to it. So there you go. This one will go into my little pile over here and will end up in somebody's grab bag. I'm going to put my alcohol inks away for a minute. Now, depending on where you're at, you could be doing it this way, or you could be doing it this way. It's totally up to you. It's your card, your project, your embossing folders. So let's assemble now. I'm going to make sure this is dry. And this does fit right on the front of the card with just a small border. And then you do have a strip that says sending birthday. I'm going to use that to cover up my line. Okay. Oh, I forgot to alcohol ink my wishes. Okay, I gotta pull my alcohol inks out again because I'm gonna alcohol ink my wishes. Forgot about that. I started playing with the tappy tap on the embossing, and then I totally missed my wishes. Hopefully you guys were paying better attention than I was. I am going to tappy tap my wishes because it's hard to drag on such a delicate die cut. Alrighty.
Don't forget the word.
Yeah, make sure your hands are clean.
Yep.
Oops, I missed a little spot on there too. Darn it. Okay, hang on. There's always a way. And it'll just make my fingers dirtier because I don't have it on my applicator. But that's okay. I've got paper towel and I've got wipes. And sometimes that doesn't help until I shampoo. So, be careful when you're turning your paper over to attach it that you don't put it on an inky spot. So I'm going to make sure my paper is dry, make sure this is dry, turn it over. Yeah, I haven't even used all the embossing folders that are online. I used some of them. That's why I used this one, because I'm like, I want to try that one. I do like it as much as I like the beveled diamonds. If you don't want to push from the top, you can always push from the back. Now we're going to take our birthday, sending birthday, and we're going to use that as our, to cover up our not so straight line there. And I did just attach that with adhesive. Now, if you wanted, on this one, I did cut it down and just did birthday wishes. So you could cut it down and just do birthday. You're going to cut the sending off. That's up to you. Okay, and then I'm going to build up my wishes together. So I'm going to pull out my micro dot adhesive. If I can get it apart. No. Okay. This time I put the micro dot adhesive on the front of my word wishes so I can attach my alcohol inked one. To it. I guess I could have attached them together before alcohol inking. Could have done that. That might have been the smarter thing to do because then you wouldn't have to handle it. And you can always re-alcohol ink it if you want to. So And again, if you wanted to save one of your wishes for a different project, you can do that too. Okay, so there's our sending birthday wishes, and that's with the circle illusion as opposed to the beveled diamonds. And this is dragging your alcohol inks. This one was dragging and then a tappy tap, and that's how I got the little little bubbly things on there. So that's just a personal preference, you know, what you want to do with your alcohol ink. This one is just swooshed back and forth, blending the colors a little bit together. This is separate colors. This is swooshing and tappies. So swoosh and then tappy tap. Alrighty. Done with card number 3. The beveled diamonds is one that worked good. This one I did when I was trying to decide what to do. This one I did on a blue paper, and then I did drag an ink pad across it. Now this is a real... This was too inked of an ink pad. But anyways, I used a less inked pad. This is a mess because this ink pad was just re-inked. Okay, forget that one. That one's not even going in the pile for grab bags. So, scratch that. Anyways, let's go on to our last card. Which is... Oh, here we go. It's our hello card.
Hello, Mother. Hello, Father. No, that's not right.
Okay, so in here, you do have 2 words. You have hello or get well soon. You have, I did give you a green card. If you don't want to use a green card, you can always pull from your stash and use a white card, because I did use green inks on this one. I'm sure tan would look good on here too. You could probably do a blue, even a purple. So it's really a soft green. It's called Sweet Mint. It's one of our newer ones. And I can't remember why I gave you 2 pieces in there, or maybe this one just has 2. Oh no, I know why I gave you 2. Because after we cut an embossed one, we're going to cut it down. So there's a slight layer back here. And that's up to you. If you want to cut it down and layer it, you can, or you can save one for another piece and you can just do it directly on the card. This one is a little bit more technique-y. So this is the one that I said if you have a brayer, you could pull it out or pull out your ink pads. This piece right here goes across there, and to get your green words, I did pop whichever word you wanted out, and we are going to do direct to paper onto that. So let's just pop that out. Let's just get that right out of the way. You don't have to color it yet, but let's just get it popped out, which if you guys did your homework, it's probably already popped out. But we're just going to have it ready to go. Now this one you can watch for a little bit before you do. And I'm going to just probably use both of mine to show you. Now, in your kit of extras, this is specifically why I gave you these white pieces, because this is a little bit more technique-y, so you might want to practice on one before using the ones that are in your kit. So that's what I gave you these 2 for. If you want to cut them down, these are like 3 7/8. You can cut it down to like 5 1/8, and then it'll be a good layer, because if you do a good one, you might be like, hey, I'm just going to use that one, or save it for another card. So I'm going to actually do that too. I'm going to take my 2 white pieces that were in my extras. I'm going to cut them to 5 1/8. And then I have 2 layers that I'm going to practice with before I actually move on to my card. And I'm using the leafy embossing folder, but the other one that some people bought was the Alta New one with the leaves on it, and I don't have mine here. So on this one, and this technique does not work with every embossing folder. I did try this technique with the butterfly embossing folder, and it just didn't have enough flat surfaces. So I'm going to just do it first, and you don't have to copy me yet. If you just want to watch for a minute, you can. Let me get my embossing. I'm just going to do this on my machine behind me. So then it's all ready to go. So hang on, let me get that set up. Because I've got my other one behind me that I can go up and down. Hang on a second.
Ooh.
I know I'm stepping on my embossing folders. Stepping on my machine that's on the floor.
Oh my gosh. Want to give that to me?
What?
I can take it away.
No, that's okay. In case I decide to use that one instead. Okay. So with this technique, you do need a flat area. So if you feel on your embossing folder, and if it's a 3D embossing folder, it needs some flat areas where the butterflies didn't have very many flat areas. The poofy dots would have flat areas. Let's see, I might try it on this cherry blossom because I really wanted to do something with this cherry blossom one. So I'm going to try it on a couple. If you guys just want to watch, you can. I'm going to pull an ink pad, one that I can use with a brayer. I should have my ink pads from... I'm going to pull a brown one because I was going to do this in browns initially. So when you're brayering, don't just go back and forth because you won't pick up ink all the way around. You kind of want to pull it towards you, or push it away, but that'll turn the roller. And then you want to make sure to get the other side of your brayer. But you can't go just back and forth like that because you need ink on all the way around. Now when you're doing it on your embossing folder, again, don't start off, because if you start off, you'll lose a big line of ink, which I just did. You just want to kind of start on and roll it, and then go, back and forth with this little up and back motion. But your embossing folder needs to have a flat area. Like I said, I tried this on the butterflies, did not work. It just didn't have a flat enough area. So now we're going to put this into our machine. And the ink is going to transfer from the embossing folder to the paper. So, and that's how you get that ink back there. And with an embossing, with a brayer, you kind of get it a little bit cleaner, because when you do it just dragging your ink, you risk getting it in some of the lines. And you get a little bit smoother of a finish using a brayer versus dragging the inks on there. They're a little bit liney, or a little bit, I'd say more distressed when you do it by just dragging your inks, which is fine too. It's just a different type of look. So let me try another one. Which one was I going to try? Oh, I was going to try the cherry blossoms. So let's try the cherry blossoms. I'm just going to do the brown again because I don't have anything to clean my brayer. When I do my green for my card, I am just going to drag my inks across there. But I haven't tried this one, so that's why I gave you a little bit extra paper, because you could try. And even if after you trimmed this to 5 1/8, you'll still end up with a smaller swatch that you could just try an embossing folder to see if it works. Okay, so again, we're just gonna roll it. Now I can see that I did get some ink in the middle of the cherry blossoms, and maybe that's okay. And this was a 6x6. It would have been nice to have a 6x6 piece of paper, but okay, let's try this. Now, with the Ulta New, it's a little bit, it's not as thick as the Spellbinder, so I do have to adjust either my sandwich or my machine. I'm back here on my Crafter's Companion. So now I can see that I got a little bit of brown in the middle of the cherry blossoms. Oops, here we go. But I like that. I'm going to try that with a different, wow, that's really pretty.
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous, Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even like a word right up here would be awesome. So yes, this one might not end up in my grab bag stuff. I might actually use this one to make a card.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was cherry blossoms, and I do like the little bit of ink that ended up in the middle of each flower. Huh. Okay, so, but that's the whole point. You don't have to do the embossing folder that I'm using as long as you have an embossing folder that has a flat surface. The butterflies, I tried that and it just had so many different levels on here. You'd think you could get it to work on here, but I couldn't. I did try it and I couldn't get it to work. So if you want to try it, you can go ahead and try it. Maybe I was doing the wrong side. I don't know. But anyways, let's go on to our card. But yeah, I originally started out when I was going to do this card with browns. And then I switched to the greens. Why, you ask? I don't know. So let's go on to here. And my embossing folder. I've got so many embossing folders hanging around up here that I've kind of lost track of everything that's going on. Oh, this is the one that I started with. So let me just get a paper towel or a baby wipe so I can wipe that off because I don't want to get green on my...
Yeah.
Or I could just switch. So I'm not going to use my brayer. This time I'm just going to use my ink pads. Brayers were those were way back in the day.
Oh my gosh.
So you might have one that you haven't used for a really long time, but they work really good for this technique.
Do they get harder? Or
I don't think so, because I mean, literally, I've had these for a long time.
Yeah. I don't think I have any of those back there, my quote card stuff. You never know what I have back there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what I have
Okay.
back there.
So, now just make sure you find your side that has your flat surface on it. When I did this, I was going to gradiate it. That was what I was trying. I was having a hard time getting that to work. I'm going to try it again tonight to see if I can get to gradiate it with colors. So I'm just dragging them across. But again, you can use your tester paper if you want.
So you want to...
You can use just one color if you want, or you can use more than one color.
Okay.
I'm just trying this to see if I can get it to work. So again, I'm kind of playing right now.
That's good. Playing is fun.
Playing is fun, yep.
Playing is learning.
We're playing together. Okay, so now I'm behind me.
You're behind yourself?
No, I'm behind you guys.
Oh, okay. I wondered how that worked.
And remember to have the right sandwich. Don't squeeze it too hard. Okay, so let's see how we did. Okay, so this is, you can tell that it's a little bit dragged, so it's a little bit more distressed or liney than when you use the brayer. Okay, I'm gonna wipe it off, and I'm gonna try just one color. I've got kind of a lighter green. And you can, and I didn't do this, I didn't add this in yet, but you can like use your Distress Oxide inks and spritz it with water. That will give you a different effect because you'll have the little water droplets in there. I figured this was enough for one night.
Barb Heil says this is a great class, Sarah. She loves the cards and she loves the experimentation.
Oh, good.
Feedback. Thanks, Barb.
Yeah, I do.
Several other people said the same thing.
I'm kind of not afraid to experiment in front of you guys, even if I screw up. So I'm not one to make sure it's perfect on camera. I'm more realistic so you guys can see the screw ups along with the good.
Yeah. Jenna saying the same thing. Love these techniques. Thanks for making me use stuff I've bought in the past and not remembered why.
I'm sure I have some of that stuff too.
At this point in my life, I have stuff in my freezer that I don't know what I bought. What was I thinking? Oh, God.
Okay. So yeah, you get the, and I kind of don't mind the little lines. It just gives a little bit more texture back there. But yeah, you'll get a little bit more liney with dragging your ink pads versus using a brayer. So just a different look, and one isn't better than the other. It's just whatever you prefer.
Like your dad always used to say, it's just different.
It's just different.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's our one that we did, like the gradiated colors. And then if any of you have like the older big and juicy rainbow pads,
oh my God,
those work great for this because they're big and you can brayer across them and you can just get a different, hang on.
You have any of those, Sarah?
I do.
Are they still juicy?
They are still juicy.
Oh,
but hang on. You guys stay there. You guys stay put. I'm going to go get a big and juicy pad.
All right. She's going to get a big and juicy pad, and I get the floor. She always hates to leave the room because she doesn't know what her mother's going to say. So all I can say is I hope you are having as much fun in this class as I'm having.
Okay.
Barb, you're right. Those people at Costco made me buy that stuff for the freezer. Yeah, and I'm one of those guys at Costco. Oh, man. Yeah, I taste it and I love it. I buy it. And then I invite Sarah over for dinner.
Okay, so let me see if I can find another piece of white paper. I can't find one. No, I'm just kidding. I have all kinds of white paper. Just not the exact one that I'm looking for.
Oh my gosh, Sarah.
I know, I'm keeping you up past your bedtime.
Did you hear that? She said she's keeping me up past my bedtime. She doesn't know I don't go to bed till 2 o'clock in the morning. Now she does.
Okay, I found a couple pieces. So let me see if I can find a different embossing folder that has see, like this one, I don't think this one has a good enough flat side to it. So I'm not using that one. Oh, I found the other, the Alta New one. Okay, let's try that. Oh, but now I have to clean my brayer off.
Oh. Oops.
Or maybe with this one, I'll see. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Hang on a second.
Wow, this is creating on the fly.
Yeah, I'm not even going to use that one. I'm going to use this. This one would be good. This is just a regular 2D one. But this one has a flat side to it. Huh, okay, let's try this one. Okay, big and juicy. Still very juicy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, look how juicy that
I
is.
see.
It's really juicy.
See. My word.
Okay, so now roll it, 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 roll it.
Kind of like kneading bread. It's a rolling pin.
Yeah, roll it, roll it, roll it.
Yep.
Okay, you do want to, once you get it on there, don't let it move, because if it moves, then you kind of like get your double image. Now, since it's a 2D one, I need to adjust. Oops, adjusted too much. Whoa. So, there, this is the scallop one.
Ooh.
So, the ink went on there a little bit different. And I don't know if there's a finish on the embossing folder, but the ink kind of, like, beat it up a little bit. But I kind of don't mind that texture in the background. So, anyways, let's go on. You guys are probably like, let's just finish the cards already. So we've got our hello. And we've got that hello. And we're just going to color that. Wow, I've got a lot of stuff going on here.
Holy cow, how are we going to get this all straightened out?
Okay, so I did just take my ink pad and I did just do direct to paper to color my hello. Now, I wanted it kind of in the same color family, and that's why I'm doing the same one. I could probably take a marker and do this. And it's not filling in all the way, and I don't know why. It doesn't even look like the color that I originally used, so maybe it's not, or maybe it just dried lighter.
Yeah.
Not sure, but that one I think was running out of ink. This one's juicier and darker, but it might have just dried lighter. Okay, so we do have to let that dry while we're going on to our card and cutting it and layering it. So we'll just let our hello or our get well or whatever word you used dry. I happen to use all of my layers, so I don't even, there is a cream layer behind there, or it's a Cryogen white. I used all of mine and I embossed all of them. So I am just attaching mine flat onto there, and I don't have an extra layer. You guys should have an extra layer unless you used it and experimented with it also. Either way is fine. But if you are putting this extra layer behind it, you're just going to cut this one down a hair, like an eighth off of each side, or off of two sides, and then it will layer. Oops. So, but I used my piece, so I'm just going to attach it flat.
That one you did with the brayer looked like a mermaid tail. Yeah, it did.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
it does.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And with the ink kind of beating up, and I don't know if it's because it's the old big and juicy ink, or if it's something on the embossing folder, because you know when you use clear stamps and they kind of beat up a little bit, it's just because it's like not seasoned.
Yep.
Because there was a finish on there from the machine that made the stamp.
Yep.
So that may happen with the embossing folder, or it was the ink, I don't know, but it kind of beaded and it gave a cool little texture.
It is.
So anyways, I did have a strip here that went across, and in my excitement of doing everything, I lost it, and that's okay. Now it's just not going to go on there. So I'm just going to mount my hello on there, and we're just going to call it a day. But you guys should have an extra little strip in your kit somewhere.
Oh, is it a green one, Sarah?
No, it's like a white one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm just gonna,
It's lost white on white, huh?
yeah, well, no, it was in the kit, and mine just might have, oh, here it is. It was cream, actually. You know, or Cryogen white.
Oh yeah,
There it is.
nice, very
Okay.
pretty.
I found mine. It's not laying right next to me. Like, Teresa found my water brush
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
camera. It's pretty
That's
sad that I
funny.
couldn't find it sitting here with my hand probably on it. But Teresa was able to find it just by looking on the camera.
This is a great class. Love the techniques and cards. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Wendy Little.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys all like it. So it's a little bit different. It's not, I mean, we're doing card making, but we're also doing a lot of like technique-y type stuff. So next month we will be doing the like the floating acetate cards. And for that one you will need a circle die.
How many circle dies?
Yeah, how many circle dies? Not 56, not 58, not 62, but you will need one circle die. It'll be a bigger one. I'll give you the dimensions. Okay, so there you go.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! We made it through class.
Yahoo! Thank you. Thanks for joining Sarah tonight.
Yeah, it was a
Thanks
fun
for
night.
hanging with us.
So, all right. Thanks for joining us tonight. We will see you. Well, you should get an email from me tomorrow, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys. Have a great night. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.